What up, ladies? I should really get a loading screen. You watched Poor Much Poor Man? Huh? Wait, how? Where's that even from? What's the premise of this call to action? Gonna do. Okay, everything looks clean. I used to like Coke, Dr. Pepper. Now it's root beer. Root beer is good. Root beer based. Sometimes you just need to get a root beer. So this is Corona, the mysterious journey of powerful IS exploit kits. And the thing is, the premise of stuff like this is, yes, it's going to exist. Apple isn't perfect, just like Graphene OS isn't perfect, just like Cubes OS isn't perfect, just like hardened BSD isn't perfect. These things are going to exist in the wild. And when you have zero-click exploits, that is a no-shit moment. I mean, software is made by humans. Humans are going to inevitably make mistakes. And in reality, it's depending on how the company handles the exploit and how it's discovered. A zero-click exploit takes the 0 days, hence zero means that we are unaware of this exploit and it got found in the wild. The government should never... that's not true. BlackBerry... the whole idea that like BlackBerry is more secure is lunacy. And this is like the same premise that like people still have this. So that's the same premise as where people say like Apples don't get viruses and they don't get hacked. That's retarded. But it's also just as retarded to think that we should entrust BlackBerry more than anything else. The Android open source project in itself, in its entirety, in its nature, has greatly introduced good security features from the ground up, from the core system. The problem is the vendors, not really Android itself. But Android still gets a rap that it's like filled with viruses. Why would you want to use BlackBerry over something that's is in its nature more open source? And even if the government, the reason the government probably uses iPhones is for a couple of reasons. Contracts probably, and I'm assuming it's something to do with the way that you can control all your iPhones with remote management tools, where you can like make sure someone doesn't go rogue, or if they quit, they can wipe the phone, et cetera, et cetera. It's a monitoring tool, and I believe it's like the most decent because Apple is like a single glass panel type of operating system. It doesn't have like 500 different phones to manufacture and test and think about. It's just a simple thing. Android's like very unhomogeneous. It's like it's very flaky all over the place. So, and it's and the thing is like it's not necessarily, it's like this stuff is gonna exist. It's how the company handles it, and did they fix it, and did they take it serious? Again, Apple's not perfect, but there's this lunacy that people go on and on saying like, oh, it's marketing bullshit. Sure. The privacy, I think, is marketing bullshit. But Apple's security is relatively very good. Just like Android security has gotten better. People always make the best exploits. Sure, yeah. Microsoft has good security. It's not that it's inherently this esoteric ideology where people are like, you need to be on this very obscure Linux distro to achieve security that gets no firmware updates and is maintained by one guy in his basement. That's retarded. I think Microsoft does take its security very serious, just like Apple does, just like I think the certain maintainers of certain Linux distributions. That's the point. It's a constant battle. Is Microsoft perfect? No. Is their telemetry a problem? Sure. Is Apple perfect? No. Are they proprietary and a black box and you have to trust them? Yeah. But it's like saying Google doesn't care about security. I mean, Google has made strides to make sure that there are secure platforms out there, and I think they care about security, and I think they care about the free and open source, honestly, to a certain degree. I know those are extreme takes to like Linux nerds, but they're like, if they didn't, they wouldn't have made a secure phone from the ground up. Like, you can go look at the requirements that they meet, and that's why Graphene OS picked them, because other vendors didn't want to follow basic standards. So think about it. If Graphene OS is a product that you love, and they're forced to pick the Pixel, who's really the person to be blamed? Are you blaming Google? Are you blaming Graphene OS? or what you should be doing is blaming the vendor that doesn't want to meet basic security standards. Food for thought. Even Chromebooks. Chromebooks are vastly much more secure than most desktops just out the gate. And they're Gen 2 based for you Gen 2 nerds. So we're going to look at Corona. It's the mysterious journey of a powerful exploit kit. Google Threat Intelligence Group has identified a new and powerful exploit targeting iPhone models running version 13 because this retard in the Discord chat just isn't he doesn't read anything. I think he just shares stuff. And he's like, oh, it does this, XYZ. Well, let's say the exploit exists and you just have to update your software in order to meet to thwart the exploit, then it doesn't fucking matter. No shit, the exploit existed. It gets patched. Who cares? If it's a consistent thing, then yes, you start blaming Apple. If it's a consistent exploit that should be basic security understanding and okay, this shouldn't have been done, like a default password to get into admin, like an admin router or whatever. Simple low-hanging fruit that they should be able to mitigate immediately out of the gate. Up to version 17.2.1, released in December of 2023. The exploit kit is named Corona by its developers, contained 5 full iOS exploit chains and a total of 23 exploits. The Corona technical value of the exploit kit lies in the comprehensive collection of iOS exploits, with the most advanced ones using non-public exploit techniques and mitigation bypass. And that's the thing, is non-public means that it's not released to the public, and people are obviously selling this to the government for millions of dollars or whatever. Nation state actors. I mean, this is going to be a forever thing. Graphene OS, when you see the security bulletin, that means they were patching critical security vulnerabilities that was brought to their attention that they either tested, they got reporting for, etc., etc. You can just go look at the list. They release it. They release the severe security vulnerabilities ahead of time. So for anyone thinking that Graphene OS is immune to this is retarded, and even they themselves say that themselves. They've never made this claim. So people that do Apple versus Android need to touch grass and are just I don't know, maybe they're just pissed because they can't afford either. I don't know. Maybe they're just broke. It's lunacy. Android vendors need to get their shit together and start making security with in mind, from hardware to software from the ground up. But there's no money in it. They're not going to see a return in value. They're not going to receive a return in money. So why would they do it in the first place? That's the logical assumption that it comes to. Reputations have to be quote unquote protected or whatever. It's just a food for thought. I think both are trying to achieve two different things. If you came up to me and someone was like, hey, what would you rather have? A shitty Android that gets no more security updates, or it only has 2, and it's built on some fucking crappy MediaTek system on a chip, and it's $500. And someone comes and they're like, should I do that or an iPhone E, a 16E or something, or a 17E that's also $500 or $600? Go for the fucking iPhone. Are you retarded? What kind of question is that? Yes, Apple's locked down. That's gay. Yes, Apple's proprietary and you need to give them all your information. Yes, that's lame. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just baseline security that people should have the right, people should have access to. We shouldn't gatekeep and make people afraid to pick something based off our emotional response to society and life. I'm not a fan of Apple or iPhones for a lot of reasons. I don't like proprietary software. I don't like Apple in general as a company because, again, the proprietary software. And they have a really nasty habit of getting people into this walled garden and making it very difficult to leave. Those are valid. I'll be in my opinion, they are subjective, valid criticism. I think they're valid criticisms from a subjective viewpoint. I'm making a valid criticism because Apple does these things, but I don't like them. And because I don't like them, it doesn't mean anything. It's just based off my feelings. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. My feelings towards Apple are negative because the way they treat people as kind of like a commodity, like join the Apple Club. You get sucked into it, make it difficult to leave. I don't like practices like that. I think it's dirty, and that's generally my outlook on it. But if someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, would you not get iPhone because of this?" No, I wouldn't get it because of very esoteric reasons. And relatively speaking, if someone wanted a secure environment that isn't Android based, where the fuck are you gonna go? To Linux phones? Linux phones aren't any better. They're not. If you wanted to, if people bring up exploits, these security exploits, and they bring up these glooming errors, and then they go pick a Linux phone, they're a fucking retard. You literally just kind of contradicted yourself, because if you care about security, then you quite literally should never use Lineage. You should never use E or Iode or these Linux phones, because you're removing all the security benefits that are baked into Android and, mobile operating systems in general. And relatively, mobile operating systems are more secure. WireGuard was removed from F-Droid due to policy disagreement. Security policy disagreement. How they handle the security. And it wasn't removed. WireGuard left. Look at it. It was removed from F-Droid due to a policy violation. It seems that F-Droid people think that their app updater is too intrusive, while WireGuard Dev seems to disagree with the policy and it violates the policy. Basically, one of the typical developers' disagreement is open source development. For now, it seems like they're really interested in finding a compromise. I'm sure both. It's WireGuard inclusion policy violation, auto update without exploit user consent. It's based off an update thing, an update, and that sounds like just a policy, but automatic updates are better for security. It's simple. In contrast, if you don't have automatic updates and you're not updating your system, guess what happens? Think about it. Think about it real deep. When a deep exploit happens, how are you going to patch it? How are you going to fix it if you don't update your stuff? And I would say even further to nullify that, if you're on updated software, and it was WireGuard on the plate. Yeah, or you can just get their APK, I believe, or through Obtainium. No, you can get it through Obtainium. You can get it through I think a Crescent, if I'm not mistaken. People might disagree with doing auto updates. Sure, that's a user choice. But if you are running something as sensitive, WireGuard controls all your traffic. You know what I mean? It's literally a very I would say a critical component if you're gonna use it. Like if you're using WireGuard and if it wasn't secure, you'd be entrusting that all that traffic that's going through that tunnel can't be snooped on or redirected with the man in the middle, or see the contents that's going through there. I mean, doy, kind of moment. But that's the point. Auto updates, in theory, sound like a user choice. Like you should choose when to update or not. People complain about it all the time. They're like, I think I should be able to just click a button if it's auto update and it'll do it. And if I don't want it, I turn it off. And the free and open source version of me says, yeah, absolutely. But most retards don't update their software. WireGuard is on Play Store, I checked. Yeah, probably. But remember, the Play Store doesn't check its code. You can just upload malware all you want to it. Which is a very stupid statement, because I've talked to people that do. And why is there a waiting period for Android then? If you publish an application to Android, you are waiting for a reason. They're not just twiddling their thumbs and jerking their meat in the corner. It's retarded. This is like the problem with F-Droid is you can't verify or trust the source that it's coming from. People don't even do if you get it from Obtainium and you don't check the the signature of the application, you essentially just downloaded software without, blindly. You might as well just go to the Play Store at that point. What's wrong with the Play Store? If you personally don't check the signature of the application that you download, then you might as well go to the Play Store. There's zero difference. Because if you don't trust the Play Store, and if the Play Store isn't trusted, and you can get quote-unquote malware, then you quite literally are doing the same thing. Just no Google. And if you actually read how Google, how the Play Store actually handles the information that's get, it's just your IP address and your Mac, your device identifier, which you can just do on public Wi-Fi. Or if you're on mobile, it doesn't really even fucking matter. What are you gonna download illegally from the Play Store? You know what I mean? Like where it's like you're worried about like your information getting leaked. Like it's lunacy to even care. Play Store comes from verified, trusted source. Is there can malware slip into there? Yeah, no shit. But there is this premise that no malware has been reported with F-Droid, and some people say that's like a kind of like a deceptive way. So there is I can't remember what application was this. It got someone took over it, and it was known, and they released. It was a very popular app. Someone took over it in like GitHub, and like the keys got exchanged, and the dude like fucking like spread like a bunch of malware through it. Like did a malicious update. Or look at what's that? Notepad++. That's a perfect example. If you don't know how to verify your Android applications, your APKs, and you're not doing it, you essentially are just blindly trusting the software you're downloading. And this argument of like, oh, it's open source, it can't happen. Polkit, 20 years. Notepad++. For how long? Ken Thompson, I'm just going to bring up C compiler. There's probably 100 other probably like 100 other examples I can give. People, you can clone it. You can clone it to have this, like, you can take Twitter, put this fucking logo on it, whatever, and then just put 2 X's and be like, super X with no ads and giant milkers. And someone's going to download it, and then boom, malware. Because people are just like, just download APK, man. It's secure. That's retarded. I even use App Verifier. I check the signatures to make sure I'm getting it from a trusted source. I check all. I even try to check some commits before I do the update. Like, fucking no brainer. This happened. It was SyncThing. SyncThing changed owners on a whim, out of nowhere, exchanged keys, and I didn't update because I didn't know who the fuck guy was, and I didn't trust him, and I still don't trust him. And he's been maintaining it for months. Like this is like old news, but this is a perfect example of I saw someone exchange keys. I saw like some drama where they exchanged the keys were exchanged over to a new maintainer. Didn't know who the maintainer was. I thought it was kind of shady, and especially with something like SyncThing, on the amount of access it gets, I was like, fuck no, I'm not updating this. That's retarded. So I waited. I took the risk of waiting because I knew the risk. It was local anyways. I don't use their global discovery. I don't use their nodes. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to see it out, see what's going on, who this person is, and then I'll decide to update when I can feel it, or I'm going to find someone that forks it. I mean, it's that simple. But I digress. The Corona exploit kit provides another example of how sophisticated capabilities proliferate. Over the course of 2025, GTIG tracked its use highly targeted operations, finally conducted by customers of a surveillance vendor, then observed its development deployment. Here's my thing: if it's something like this where it's costing tens of millions of dollars, it's government state. Why the fuck would anyone care about this? Like genuinely, I think it's like people are like, why wouldn't I care about it? It exists. Well, so does the rocket launchers exist. Nuclear bombs exist. Fucking, giant fucking super invasive lasers that can go through your skin exist. But do you not leave your house and you just shit and cry in your pants the entire time thinking about like the 0.00001% that you're gonna get hit by a fucking javelin? You know what I mean? Like sharks exist. If you live in the desert, you ain't gonna fucking worry about sharks. If the exploit is so huge, who cares? Cool. It's cool that it exists. Like, wow, like someone figured out how to do this like insanely very sophisticated exploit. I think it's interesting. But if like it doesn't affect the 99.9% people out there, it is quite literally a waste of time to even think about or bring up. Like, people are like, there's these zero-click exploits that cost millions of dollars, and they're gonna do it on me. They're not gonna do it on you. This isn't some consumer shit that you just find in the wild. I mean, you can't even buy cry in your pants for real. You can't even buy like half these like Cellbrite. You have to like have an insane amount of money or a contract. Like all this stuff is unobtainable to the public for a reason, because it's expensive, and it's people that just figure it out. I mean, like this is like fucking insane. It's cool even. Crying in your pants and shitting and farting, yeah. Okay, operations initially conducted by a customer of a surveillance vendor, then observed its deployment in a watering hole attack targeting Ukrainian users, UNC 635-3, a suspected Russian espionage group. When we retrieved the complete exploit kit, when it was later used in broad-scale campaigns by UNC 6691, a financially motive threat or actor coming from China. However, this occurred unclear, but suggested that an active market for second-hand zero-day exploits beyond these identified exploits. Multiple threat actors have now acquired advanced exploit techniques that can be reused to modify with newly identified vulnerabilities. Following a disclosure policy, we're sharing research to raise awareness and advance security across the industry. We also added identifier websites such as Safe Browsing to safeguard users from further exploitation. The Corona exploit kits is not effective against the latest version of iOS. So, cool. And that's my point. When people bring up, like, do you know about this exploit? It can't be exploited against the current version. Okay, it doesn't fucking matter then. In iOS, whenever its update is not possible, it is recommended that lockdown mode be enabled for enhanced security. Lockdown mode is the best thing you can enable. What would be the issue? When was this last update? This was updated March 3rd. CV is patched by iOS 17. Is used by a customer of surveillance company. Corona is used on fake Chinese gambling and crypto sites. Collects the whole kit with all the exploit chains. Interesting. Initial discovery of the commercial surveillance. 2025, we captured parts of iOS exploit chain used by a customer surveillance company. The exploit was integrated into a previously unseen JavaScript framework that has used simple but unique JavaScript obfuscation techniques. Any JavaScript fans in here? What does this JavaScript mean, guys? I'm a JavaScript hater. Guys, what's an integer? I'm too afraid to ask. The framework starts a fingerprinting module collecting various data points to determine if the device is real and what specific iPhone model and iOS software version it's running. Based on the collection of data, it loads the appropriate WebKit remote code execution (RCE) exploit, followed by pointer authentication code pack bypass, as seen in Figure 2 from the deobfuscated JavaScript. At the time, we recovered the WebKit RC delivered on device running 17.2 and determined that it was CVE 2024-23222, a vulnerability previously identified as a 0-day that was addressed by Apple on January 22nd, 2024 in iOS 17.3 without crediting any external researchers. Figure 3 shows the beginning of the RC exploit and how it was delivered in the wild with our annotations. Obfuscate contains blah blah blah. Government backend attack usage. In 2025, we noticed that the same JavaScript framework on CDNOncounter.com, a website loaded a hidden iframe on the machine, compromised Ukraine websites ranging from industrial equipment and retail tools to local services and e-commerce websites. The framework was only delivered selected iPhone users for specific geolocations. So it's specific iPhone users in specific geolocations. That's like, this isn't like crazy, like shocking or anything. To be completely honest, I mean, this happens. We probably have developed zero-click exploits against foreign nationals. I mean, this is like, we're going into cyber warfare at this point in the timeline of humanity, because it's more easy and, you know, it's complicated. You could do a lot more damage actually. It's easier to deploy malware than it is, 10,000 troops. Full exploit China chain control from Chinese scam website. This page optimized iOS devices. Please access from iPad or iPhone. We retrieved all the obfuscation exploits, including the extending payloads. Upon further analysis, we noticed an inherence where the threat actor deployed the bug version of the exploit kit, leaving in the clear all of the exploits, including their initial code names. That's when we learned that the exploit kit was likely named Korean initially. In total, we collected a few hundred samples covering total 5 iOS exploit chains. The exploit kit is able to target various iPhone models running version 13 all the way up to 17.2. Later, Billy. But what you should do is update your software. The framework surrounding the exploit kit is extremely well engineered. The exploit piece connected naturally and combined together using common utility exploit frameworks. The kit performs the following unique actions: bailing out of if the device is in lockdown mode or if the user is in private browsing. A unique and hard-coded cookie is used along the way to generate resource URLs. Resources are referred to by hash, which needs to be derived with the unique cookie using SHA-256 cookie plus ID 40 to get their URL. RCE and pack bypass are delivered unencrypted. But if it's in lockdown mode, it shouldn't matter. The kit contains a binary load to load appropriate exploit chains post RCE with WebKit. In this case, binary payloads have unique metadata indicating when they really are, what chips and iOS version they support, and served from URLs at the end with mini.js. When was 17.3? Oh, right here. Some cool stuff. have unique metadata, including what they really are, what chips and iOS version they support, and served from URLs that are and with many J's are encrypted using SHA-20 with unique key per blob. Are packaged in custom file format string as a header and compressed with the Lempel Z Welch LZE algorithm. The exploits and their code names. What is pack bypass? I wonder if that's phone access code. Or it's maybe the rollback protection is needed with kernel exploit for a jailbreak, but I have a PC. What is... Maybe I should put this. Oh, it's an activation lock? Oh, interesting. Web content. Pack bypass, PE. Photon and Gallium are exploiting vulnerabilities that were also used in 0 days as part of the Operation Triangulation, discovered by Kaspersky in 2023. The exploit also embeds reusable models to erase exploits in the aforementioned vulnerabilities. For example, there is a model called RWX allocator using multiple techniques to bypass various mitigations, preventing allocation of RWX and them to bypass kernel-based mitigations such as the kernel mode pack. Interesting. One-time verification codes received in mail can be filled with a tab. The ability to automatically delete verification code was added. Several changes for app permissions. Lockdown mode can block the iPhone from connecting to 2G cell networks. From auto joining, sensitive content, web lock APIs, and more. Apple Steam just announced watchOS gains support for lockdown mode, and the mode is automatically enabled on Apple Watch when it's enabled on paired iPhones. Yeah. Interesting. Lots of like really good information right there. So it seems like it was kind of like an issue, and it became not an issue. I mean, iOS exploit chain exists because of how locked down they have it. This is the same thing with like if you have like any hardened system, people are going to try harder to get that, or they're going to look for low hanging fruit. I mean, that's just how software development works. But thank you guys for joining me today. I'm going to end the stream. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Remember to also do your own research, and comment below for the algorithm. Think about what your favorite bush is. Everyone's got a favorite bush. They're all out there, and make sure to tell me in the comments. I'll see you guys all in the next video, so YouTube knows that I'm a real person and I love all their policies. Hit the thumbs down or up